Now, weddings can be one of the most enjoyable but also stressful events to organise. So how can you ensure that you've covered all the bases? Well, with over 13 years' experience in the wedding industry, photographer of the year a few times. I just thought I'd slip that in. She wouldn't say it, so I will. It's safe to say that Jenny McCarthy has experienced just about everything from wedding woes to major mishaps, and she joins us now to share some invaluable advice that will help you get through your big day or help the big day to run as smoothly as possible. Morning, Jen.
Morning, Mark.
How are you?
I'm fantastic.
You battled it through the morning traffic.
I certainly did.
I've been through this twice, and I have to say, thankfully, the women in my life decided you don't need to have anything to do with this.
I wouldn't say you're a very good wedding organiser.
The farther away from it you are, the better. Just give us a checkbook and the credit card, and we'll give you a shout when we need you. So I have no idea about this. You would think I'd have experience, but I don't. Right, start at the beginning. You maintain the first things to look at are the venue and the ceremony. Well,
you know, Christmas time and New Year is the busiest time for couples getting engaged. And what to do first? You know, obviously you need to know what time of year you want to get married, and then decide where you're going to go. You know, what venue you want to go with. Decide what your budget is. That's really, really important. And try to stick to your budget as much as you can. You know, I come across a lot of couples, who spent money on stuff that's not necessary. So the most important thing really is your ceremony and your venue.
OK, and the thing with venues, of course, is that they're obviously very popular venues, and people go to weddings and they go, oh God, this is lovely, I love this place, I'd love to have my wedding here. Yes. And if it's good and it's popular, the chances are you'll probably have to wait for 2 years before you can get in there anyway. Yeah, so it takes long-range planning. Yeah, and sometimes it's cheaper as well to get married midweek. I got married on a Monday.
So sort of take all that into consideration as well. Like Thursday weddings are cheaper than Friday and Saturday weddings. So there are ways, pardon me, there are ways to actually save money. So, you know. OK, but the most important thing is that you have the ceremony you want in the venue you want. Yes. And the chances are, if you want it, a lot of other people do too. Yes. So plan ahead. And you need to be looking at 18 months to 2 years, don't you? At least a year. At least a year, you know, and you can be lucky, but at least a year.
Right. Now, and you also mentioned under the heading of venue and ceremony that the band is hugely important.
Oh, my goodness. So, you know, you don't want an empty dance floor. So you really do need a band or entertainment that is going to fill your dance floor, because that's what people will remember. I mean, I've certainly been at weddings where the floor has been jammed, but I've been at weddings where, Jenny Mac, you know, for the first 2 or 3 dances you'll have people on the floor and then it's empty. You don't want that. So the band is very, very important.
Vitally important. And indeed, any other entertainment you're planning on the night. I was at a wedding
and go and see them. Sorry, go and see them while they're doing a wedding.
Well, you see, a lot of those bands play the wedding fair, so you actually get a chance to see them. They'll give you a list of their dates, and you can go along, have a look and see how they are on the day.
And that would be my recommendation.
I was at a wedding over Christmas, and there was a band and there was a comedian, and I have never seen a comedian die so badly in all my life. So if you're going to book entertainment, make sure that it's entertainment that's suitable for 7-year-old pages and 90-year-old grandparents.
Well, I hope there was no bad language.
There was, and there was, and the comedian was standing right beside the priest who performed the ceremony while he was doing it, and he said, saving your presence, Father, and off he went. Didn't bat an eyelid, and everybody had their head in their hands and they were looking through their fingers. On the other hand, they had a band from Tipperary whose name I can't remember, and they're the best thing I've seen since sliced bread. Brilliant. They were amazing. Yeah, brilliant. So they can really make the night. Absolutely. Or ruin it for you.
Or break it.
Right, now, the photographer, very important.
Very important, you know, and I'm not speaking because that's what I do. And I'm not asking anyone to book me, but your photographer is so important, Mark, because besides each other, this is all you're left with at the end of the day.
Quite often the couple, the bride and groom, don't get to see everything that's going on around it. It's only afterwards when they sit down and they see the photographs, they go, oh my God, I didn't realise, or oh, that's a beautiful shot, or, you know, so their memories in large part will depend on how good the photographers are.
Absolutely, and there's so much around it as well, you know, so the 2 things you need to decide on when you're looking for a photographer is, do you like their style? If you like their style, go and see if they're available. And when you go to see them, make sure there's a good rapport, because you're going to spend all day with this person and that relationship goes on for a couple of months afterwards. So you've got to make sure that that fits too.
From start to finish, from the time a client sees you and hires you to the time they actually get the full wedding album presented, how long, roughly?
2 years.
What?
You know, like I'm booked out a year and a half in advance. Like I've bookings in for 2020. So, like that relationship goes on probably for 6 months after the wedding, because by the time they go off on honeymoon, they see their images online, they have a look at them, they come back in, they choose their photos to go into their album. So it does go on. So you've got to make sure that it's good. And also on the wedding day, before the wedding day, you've got to give your photographer a list of photographs that you want taken. You would assume that they would, know what you want, but if there's anything specific, apart from your family and your bridal party, that you want, you need to tell them.
And of course, you go there and, there could be 200, 300, 400 people, and there may be some who are very special, and you won't recognise them, and you may not even have previous photographs of them, so it can be guesswork. And if you don't guess right, then it's like, where's Auntie Mary? She's my favourite aunt. You didn't get her.
No photos of her. So you just need to make sure that you give them a list. And also, just on that, if there are any family dynamics, if you have parents who are separated, all the politics, I come across it all the time. And when you're informed, it's fine. When you're not informed, it's not fine. You don't want to be saying to Mammy and Daddy, jump in there, let me get a shot of you two lovebirds, and they're separated. You need to tell your photographer. They need to know. Can you imagine?
It's a minefield. You'd want to be Henrietta Kissinger. Right, OK, hair and makeup. Now, you would think that this is a given, and particularly from the bride's point of view and the bridesmaids, that this would all be something that a huge amount of thought would be put into. But what are the mistakes that people make?
Well, you need to go for a trial. You need to get recommendations on a makeup and a hair person. And, when you find somebody that you really like, go and get a trial. I've seen so many disasters on wedding mornings where the hair is not right, and brides get really, really stressed about this. So that's really important to get someone who's professional as well, Mark, because the one thing that's really, really important on a wedding day is a time schedule. And I am ridiculous for time. And anybody looking in who's had their wedding photographed by me will verify this. Time is absolutely so important, because your partner's up at the church or at the ceremony. You need your photographer to go up to them as well. And if things are running late in the house, the whole day is going to go off.
Without being sexist, there isn't a woman in the world who won't spend more time getting the makeup done if she thinks it's going to add to the perfection. So you actually need it's a very strict timetable. Also, by the way, very good hair and makeup people, like good photographers and like good venues, are usually booked well in advance. So the long range planning required there as well. The day itself. Have the time schedule and stick to it. Luggage packed in advance for the hotel. Oh,
Mark, the amount of times I rock up to a house and they're still packing their luggage for the hotel. Please, seriously? You've been planning this wedding for a year. Can you not pack the day before? These things just all add to, the chaos on the morning. So be prepared. Take your dress out of the bag. If you don't take the dress out of the bag, it's going to be a ball of creases. I don't know how many times I'm out with a hairdryer trying to blow dry out the creases. I know brides don't want, anyone to see the dress. So if you don't want anyone to see the dress, take it out of the bag and put, the bridal bag in front of it.
Right, and make sure that the bride gives herself at least 15 minutes to get into the dress. And you're not making that's not a judgment.
No.
It's just that these are complicated things to get into.
Mark, it's the most important dress you're ever going to get into in your life. It needs 15 minutes, By the time you put on the foundation underwear, the dress, the jewellery, the shoes, the veil, you need to give yourself that time. And then if Daddy is around, he wants to see you for the first time in your dress.
Yeah,
so
the father of the bride gets the first look. Oh. Very important. Listen, there's loads more.
I could go on for Ireland.
To that end, you are going to be doing your bride guide this year.
Yes, I go around the country, at various hotels, and I stand up and do a bride guide. And it's all of my tips and knowledge that I've conjured up over 13 years. So, yes.
Cheers, Jen.
Thank you, Mark.
We'll see you back for Camera Club.
Yes.
Cheers.